pitch.
Yeah, so my name's Kamryn Phlegar. I'm a sophomore here at USC. I major in international business and finance. I also minor in Spanish and fashion merchandising. I'm a huge part of the business school, like that's where my passion is. I'm there like 45 hours a week. It's very good for me to be in Russell House more with the campaign. I feel like through student government, I know y'all are always here too. People think that this might be like the ultimate center of campus, and it's really good that I'm like more involved in getting out here, just because for us business students, we don't really leave. And so it's just unique to have a different perspective on campus, and I think that's really interesting coming in, because I'm not currently in student government. And I think my whole thing is breaking into the bubble, per se, of the student government environment and bringing a different perspective, because I think that everyone involved in student government, it's really great and they're doing great work, but to bring in different experience and different know-how, that's kind of where I come into play. So I've been involved in different things on campus. I do Garnet Circle, that's the Student Alumni Association that's in charge of doing My Carolina. I also am an honors college mentor. That's been awesome because I love fostering freshman students. I helped out our new member mom. I'm a part of Tri Delta. And so that's kind of been where I have put a lot of my time on campus. It's really helped me with my leadership abilities. I currently serve as our social events chairman, and I was our homecoming chair. And during homecoming this year, I really found my true love of Carolina. I'd always loved this school and I knew I wanted to come here, but from that experience, it really made me realize all the incredible people that are on campus. Everyone's so different, but when we come together, that's kind of, we all live USC. And so we won this year for the first time, tried out, and that was such an accomplishment for me to coordinate. I had to coordinate like 800 people into like one cause. So that kind of honed my coordination skills of volunteers and planning of events. So I now serve as our social events chairman, and I have to plan 8 to 9 events a year and manage a budget of about $65,000 kind of on my own. So that's been a huge task, but something that's really made me passionate about programming, and I think that's why I decided to join the Forward ticket to run, because that's where my expertise lies. I might not have student government experience, but I have experience that is equivalent to that kind of, you know what I mean? I just know what I'm doing when it comes to programming and reaching out to different parts of campus. So that's kind of me. I dip my toe in a lot of different things on campus. I work in the Office of Career Management too, in the Darla Moore School of Business, and that's kind of where my platform comes from. One of the things I'm most passionate about is professional development. I think that it's so important, and I don't think everyone on campus, it's not in the forefront of their mind, and I think it should be, because we all come to college to get a job after, whether it be in any different field. So through that, I've kind of learned what it takes to be successful post-graduation, and that's where my idea for Carolina Gets Hired. That's my main, my chief programming initiative for the vice president's role if I were to be elected. This includes things such as resume building workshops for people of all majors, because I don't think that everybody knows what it means to write a resume, and I don't think everybody knows what it means to go to an interview and how to do that successfully. And I think that people of all majors, no matter whether you're a chemistry major or a journalism major or a business major, you should know how to pursue those opportunities. I don't think that the school is doing a good enough job right now, and so that's what I would really pour my heart and soul into, as well as continue the current initiatives that the Vice President's office has going. I really want to rework those, because I don't think that they're reaching the vast majority of the student body right now. I think that they're wonderful ideas, but I don't think that they are being communicated in a good enough manner, because I think I'm a pretty involved student on campus, and I didn't know about 3/4 of the opportunities that were given out by student government or the different programming initiatives that the student government was doing until I, joined the campaign, and obviously I know now, but yeah, that's,
Yeah,
sorry.
I was going to ask a question. So you're talking about your Carolina Gets Hired.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying, like, about the school and how, I guess, what would you all do differently that, like the Student Success Center and stuff like that?
The Career Center?
Yeah.
So the Career Center has a lot of stuff right now that is offered. I don't think it's marketed in a good way. I think just from talking to a lot of different people across majors, Greek life, non-Greek life, honors, non-honors, capstone, people don't know that there are all these different opportunities offered. at least in my experience. Maybe some people do, but they have career coaching, they have all sorts of different opportunities, and I think it needs to be pushed at students and made aware. I also think that it just needs to be more. It needs to be increased. I think there needs to be more networking opportunities. We have so many incredible people that are in the city that USC needs to tap into and make their students aware of these opportunities. Because I know like so many people that don't have jobs, don't have internships, and are struggling to find these opportunities. If we partnered with different companies in the Columbia area, they would be made known, if that makes sense. That's pretty much it. And also, we're getting a new director of the Career Center. We don't have one right now, and they're on the search. I'm really close with the Darla Moore, Career Management Director, and so she's on the search committee, and she was telling me more about that. And this is a great opportunity to rebrand the Career Center with Student Government's partnership because it's in kind of a ground floor.
Okay, so just so we understand, Carolina gets hired. This is a collaboration with the resources that already exist on campus and not so much a totally separate thing.
I think that it would be in partnership, correct?
Right.
I think that it would make no sense to just have student government gung-ho go in by itself. I think that there needs to be new stuff going on, but I think that we also need to continue to develop the current opportunities and resources that the Career Center has.
So you said that you're not currently a student. You weren't currently a student government. Have you never been?
Not at USC, but I was in student government in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So I'm not completely.
right, and you said that you've since you joined the Forward campaign, you've learned more about what student government does here. Do you feel like you have an understanding of what the responsibilities of a VP really are?
I think I do, yes. Davis and Patrick and Adger are all very ingrained in student government, and they sat me down and basically were like, this is what it's going to entail, this is what you're going to have to do. And I said, that really aligns with my interests. I think I'm very prepared to take on a role. Our current vice president was not in student government when she was elected, and she did a great job, and I think that it does not disqualify me in any way.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you help us understand then what it was that was explained to you? What do you feel the responsibilities excuse me of the VP are specifically?
I think that it really is about programming and creating different events on campus that really touch base with the student body. I think I sit as one of the executives, so that really means working in a team to lead the student government and really be a voice for everybody. But that being said, my role is about creating those programs. It's not about running the Senate. It's not about going to the board meetings. It's not being, doing the budget work. It's about creating these ideas and making them happen. And that is what I've done in the past, and I think I have the perfect experience. I know how to create an event. This past Saturday, I planned our parents' cocktail, which is a sorority event, but it's for 1,400 people. And, I had to manage a budget, and I was under budget, and there were no behavioral issues, there was nothing. And so it just kind of shows that these events, not to bring up student gov ball, but those are things that I think could be reworked, opened up to the vast majority of the community, because it is money for, students pay student government to function. I think that especially the student gov awards need to be for everybody too.
I know you said that in creating events, it really is for the voice of the students.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think you would go about making it a voice for the students?
I think that, first of all, I think that the events need to be marketed better. So, because I think that there's great programs right now. Specifically, I think our best one this past year was Carolina Beautiful Week. I think that it did touch a lot of the base of campus, and I think people were very responsive of that. But it just needs to be pushed out there, because if we're making these great events and there's no knowledge of them happening, then what's the point, if that makes sense? And I also think that we need to talk to all sorts of different parts of campus, not just this, a small majority, to make sure we're creating these ideas that everybody wants to attend, or a larger portion of campus.
And you've mentioned kind of this lack of knowledge and all these different facets of student government with programming and seeing that through and Senate. Do you feel there's a kind of a general lack of understanding of what student government may do for the university and for the students?
Yes, I really do. I think that not many people that I know in my circle, which I am in a lot of different parts of campus, but Greek life specifically is a huge part of campus, and I don't think many people at all have any idea what student government is doing and what it can do. And I think that people should understand that, because student government is for everybody. And I, like last year, was so out of touch with student government specifically. And I think that freshmen on campus, even though I was involved in other things, freshmen on campus should know student government is here for you. They're creating these events to make your life better. And I think that that really needs to be pushed.
And if elected to VP, how would you make that happen to make students more aware?
I would say talking to a lot of different organizations. I think partnering with more groups of people on campus and taking their ideas and assisting them with ideas. I think that that would be a great start. I think that creating a team of people as well on my cabinet that have these great ideas, because everything is teamwork. I think that marketing, social media push, everybody's on social media nowadays. We need to make that a bigger focus of student government. So those are my ideas right now, but continuing to grow every day, yeah.
You mentioned like kind of the diversity and the different perspective you gain from being at Russell House.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of explain what you or how you feel like that your perspective has changed and how you're going to continue to branch out from the business school?
Yeah, so I feel like it is a hub on campus, and it's been really impactful for me to see, but also a lot of students, they're really ingrained in Russell House and this kind of part of campus for the beginning of your freshman year, and then a huge majority of people leave and don't really come up here. Like I have one class in humanities, and I know thousands of people aren't really a part of this area. So I think maybe trying to touch upon other parts of campus, going to Swearingen, going to Darla, and making sure that student government is seen in those parts of campus, not just around here. But again, from my perspective, from that part of the question, just seeing that there's so many different types of people on campus, and these are the people that we need to reach out to as student government, you know, because it needs to be for everybody.
Are you going to like try and kind of communicate more like, you know, from a physical aspect, or like how are you going to reach them?
Yeah, I think just being out in the community and making sure that I'm seen, I'm heard, people can come up to me, being very approachable, talking to more people. That's been amazing. It's just going up to people and just saying hi and talking to them and getting to meet all these people. Win or lose, this has been an incredible opportunity and experience, because I met so much of the Carolina community. And that's been so impactful, meeting the people that form this university. There's 33,000 people plus that go here, but we have one thing in common, and that's being a Carolinian. So.
In the beginning, you mentioned something about like breaking into the bubble of student government.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's currently a stigma surrounding student government?
Yes, I do. I just think it's seen as a little bit exclusive, just from some perspective on student base, and I think sometimes, not in a negative way, but it's seen as kind of out of touch with some parts of campus, and I would love to be a voice for those people outside of student government.
How do you plan on breaking that bubble?
I think just me not currently being in student government, I bring a lot of different fresh ideas that I think that we need to start having a different conversation than just the programming that's currently going on. So I think that mental health and sexual assault, these are extremely important ideas that need to be discussed. I was hospitalized with anorexia for a year. Like, I understand that these are important conversations that need to be had, but I do think we need to start talking about other things like professional development. And that's kind of what I want to come in with fresh, new perspective, because I haven't been ingrained in this community of people.
You mentioned that you want to be able to make a lot of people aware of what happens in student government and how student government works. How do you think you would go about transparency in what happens in student government?
That's a great question. I think just a constant communication. I think that, like, through social media, we need to constantly be communicating. I think constantly asking questions of the student body, whether it be like, hey, what would you want to see on campus? Like, post this, let me hear this. I think maybe office hours, having open door policy, come in, communicate what is going right, what is going wrong. I think because I'm not in student government, I bring a lot of different people that haven't been aware of student government and what we're doing. or what they're doing on campus. So I think that with my outreach, I'd be able to touch into those communities and pull them in and excite a different part of Carolina.
This is the first year that we've had a whole position dedicated to the Speaker of the Senate, whereas that used to be the Vice President's role. So do you feel like not having, if you were to win the Vice President position, not having that Speaker of the Senate responsibility, do you feel like that is what opens up the room for all these initiatives? Is that basically what you plan on doing every day? If you're
Yeah, I think that was such a smart decision because I think that the two roles are so different. The Speaker of the Senate is very focused on rules and regulations and making sure everything's by the book, everything's code. Where I think some of that comes into play with Vice President, just making sure we're following the rules and regulations. I think especially with Davis Latham, I think he is the perfect candidate for that because he's so aware of what's going on in the Speaker of the Senate position. He's the Chief of Staff. So I think if I had him on my back, and that would be a great combination. But I think that it does really open up the doors for these programs. And that's where I was so excited when I was approached to join the ticket because I have so much programming experience and I know how to market these events. And I think that it really opens up the doors for so much more possibility because that's a huge role. And now that somebody else is coming in and going to take on that role, and there's just so much more time and energy that can be spent in the right way.
Right, and forgive me if you've already answered this question, but that being said, why the Forward campaign?
Mm-hmm. Why? Okay. Well,
why these three guys?
Yeah,
right.
Those good old guys. I think that we each bring such a unique perspective. It's the perfect 4-person ticket because we touch so many different parts of campus. We have Adger. He is wonderful. Patrick's so experienced. He's currently an executive. He knows what it is to be on the 4-person executive team, and he has that experience, and he's so knowledgeable. Davis, he works every single day with the Speaker. He knows exactly what he's doing, and I think that he would continue a very transparent Senate and would continue with that. I just feel comfortable, and I think that because I don't have student government experience, these are great guys to support me and to kind of show me the ropes. I don't think it disadvantages me again not being in student government, but they do they're showing me through the last, month or so what it means to join this community, what it means to be a representative of the university, and what it means to succeed in this position.
And with the four of you putting your heads together and your resources together, it's likely that you would sort of have, especially with how many senators do you have on the ticket?
Like 21 now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, all those resources is going to make for probably an advantage financially than somebody who has no ticket at all. Do you have an opinion on campaign spending caps?
Honestly, you're going to be surprised, but we are not a huge budget campaign, even though we do have 4 people. We kind of are trying to spend our money in the right way just because we're not all rolling in it. And I think that there's certain things that you need to spend money on to make sure you have a marketable campaign.
Of course, I didn't mean to sound like...
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I didn't take offensively. But I do think that it gets kind of crazy and overblown because we are just trying to represent Carolina and speak for the students, and it's becoming I was shocked when I jumped into this, oh my gosh, it's a full-scale production of a political campaign, but I think that it's important nowadays because that's what people are looking for, that's what's going to win the election, and that's what's catching people's eyes on Green Street.
Do you think that even if there wasn't a cap, you should be completely transparent with how much you've been spending?
Yeah, I think that people deserve to know. I think that can be a vast difference in the campaigns, and I think that not everyone can spend the same amount, and I think that people should be made aware that maybe some person doesn't have the same marketing and that's because they can't afford it, and that doesn't mean they're less qualified candidate.
So I was going to say, I know, you were saying this is new to you with student government and everything. Why did you decide to go into student government?
That's a great question. I really felt called to do this. I want to leave Carolina better than I found it, and I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. And I really felt like I had these unique creative ideas that I can execute and that it's been proven that I could execute. And I wanted to be a part of the bigger thing and make a difference in the university before I left. It was just very exciting, and it was a very exciting opportunity. And I also really believed in the ticket. I believed that these were great people to run with, and I trusted them. And it was just very exciting.
Going back to transparency, how do you think that your transparency and communication with the media should change? So kind of with us, I guess, in this next year?
Yeah, I think I'm not 100% sure on what the different communication was with the vice presidents and the Daily Gamecock, but I would definitely make sure to keep up with y'all, because you guys are the voice to campus, and that's your huge connection to what people read, what people know about the university, and just making sure that I reached out, and if I had a new initiative, to work with y'all and make sure that you guys would be another source of marketing and communication, because I think people really trust what you guys put out, and I think people really listen, and I think it's a great resource, and I don't know why I wouldn't, be a team with that.
You said it would. It's been proven that you could implement some of these initiatives. Probably Carolina gets hired. I think you've laid a solid foundation here in front of us. But I mean, what about the all-campus Wi-Fi? Do you feel like that's something that could actually be concretely achievable?
I think it really is. They were showing me the numbers. We currently put money into a technology fund, and with rework and communication with the university, there's more than enough funds to cover this and to get this movement going. There's precedent at different universities, Arizona and California, where it's worked, and I think it's quite possible. It's adding more connections, and it really is feasible from what the numbers I've seen.
How do you think you would go about that?
I think that Patrick's really going to run with it and work with the administration. I think especially with his roots already in place with the current administration, because he has been an executive, I think that he does have the relationships to push his ideas forward. And I think just working with them, because there is the money and there are the funds, they just need to be allocated towards this mission. And he's passionate, and we all are, because I think that Wi-Fi is terrible.
What's the process that you have to go through to get the Wi-Fi that we need? Like, how does that work? Like, what's the, I guess, is there construction? Like, I guess, like, what happens with that?
Yeah, so that would be like through the university. They would have to use the technology fee, and they set up like routers on different buildings, and it, you go through the different routers, and that's being put in place. I think it would be started this year and continued to grow year after year to get it, because from the Horseshoe is very feasible, and then going from Russell to Swearingen I think would be a little bit of a longer process than a year. But getting this going and getting the Wi-Fi continuously better every year is an easy task. But yes, it's not destructive construction, no, from my knowledge.
How much time we got?
7 minutes.
You mentioned like resume building and all that. Do you feel like you're gonna kind of make it optional to give the resources to us as students, or a class based on different majors? How is that gonna be implemented?
So the business school currently does a class called BADM, Business Administration class, and in this class we have to learn how to write a resume, which is a lot harder than people would think. There's so much that goes into it, and there's so much that you need to have a perfect kind of template for that. I think that I would love to work with the university to possibly get this into every major, because you need it for every kind of job, and it's so important. I could talk days about this, and every resume is different for each major. You have to put different things. It needs to be in a different format. I think to start off with, yes, optional, but I think that it needs to be marketed better. Different classes, we need to have constant 2-3 times a month, these different opportunities for people to come and learn per major in each college how to write a resume for each different division. But I do think that the business administration class in the Darla Moore School has been so effective, and I would love to see that implemented through each college.
So would you bring in outside sources or professors or whoever's helping you?
I think that the career coaches within the Career Center are more than capable of doing that, and I would love to work with the different deans and see if that could be a class that is offered. But for the current stage, I'd like to see it offered every month, working with the career staff.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be great with the new director coming in. You could, line that up because there's going to be new, different policies in the office with the new director. So that's something that I think could be very well achieved.
So you said it, like the Wi-Fi, for example, could take longer than a year. Would you say like forward is sort of a nod to the idea that some initiatives you may be starting just to like get them started, not necessarily to have them implemented in the next year?
Yeah, I think that yes, because some of these things do take longer, but from Patrick's track record as well, it's kind of shown that if we make a campaign promise, I sat down and I was like, if we're going to do something, I want to do it. I don't want it to just be, we're going to do this. I want to make it happen kind of thing. And he said he was going to run on Swipe Out Hunger. Swipe Out Hunger is now a new program. And he said he was going to do the medical amnesty. It's about to be, it's about to happen. And I think that, yes, I want to get these into place, but I want these to continue to grow. So the Wi-Fi might take longer, but yes, it will be put in place within the year for sure. Along with Carolina gets hired. So.
With running so far, have you come across like something, like a specific struggle that you found that you either overcome or you're gonna have to work through if you get along?
Yeah. I would say recruiting volunteers, and I think that's been a problem in the student government office right now, is getting these people to work these different events and these different programming. And I've kind of come across that for the campaign. Everyone's so busy, and getting people there at a certain time, even though they really want to be there. I think it's just making these things enticing to people to want to come, and that involvement. And for my events through my sorority, it's getting people there. And through homecoming, I was very successful about constant communication, being on top of it, making sure people there were at the right time, that they were staying the whole time. And that's something that I think I would have to overcome, just making sure we had the people to staff the different events, because if we don't want people to staff it, then it's just not going to be successful. But I think it's something that I could very well do.
How about, donations for citations?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I have a question about that.
Absolutely.
It seems like it's sort of like Swipe Out Hunger. It's designed to help students at a socioeconomic disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm stuttering a lot, but anyway.
No
How would this help us, a socioeconomically disadvantaged student who accumulates tickets but also can't afford to give up his meals?
That's a really good question. I think that we were trying to use donations for citations as a funding
Okay.
to continue Swipe Out Hunger.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of the students on the campus, it's a better way to donate your funds, because you're going to have to give them up anyway. Davis has communicated to me that parking is just not going to get fixed. And no matter how much people are going to promise we're going to fix parking, it's just really not going to happen, because the city and the university do not want to work together. It's just a true fact. And so by donating money and canned goods to the Gamecock Food Pantry, it's a better way to funnel the money into giving food to insecure students. And it's 1 in 3 students on campus struggles from food insecurity or some sort of that from the survey that was taken. And so I think it's a great way to solve 2 problems on campus and to kind of alleviate the issue of parking and parking tickets, because we all hate it. And it's a better way to funnel your money into something that really matters and something that helps students, a vast majority of students on campus.
Do you think people would take advantage of you guys paying for the citations and just like purposely park?
Well, I'd hope not. But I think that what my understanding of what we want to do, and I think that these are kind of semantics going down the road, would be that it would be an equal amount of what the parking ticket is to what the donation or what the food equivalent in financial terms would be. So no matter what, you'd still have to kind of spend the same amount of money. So I don't think people would take advantage of it, because that would be the issue.
Okay. Is there anything you didn't get a chance to mention that we didn't ask you about?
No, I just want to thank you all for having me.
Yeah,
thanks
of course.
for having me.
Thank you for coming.